right here in the unforgiving wilderness of Zin, Moses faced one of the greatest crises of his leadership. At Kadesh Barnea, the tension was unbearable. The people had just fallen into the sin of the spies, and God's devastating judgment came swiftly. The generation that had left Egypt would die in the wilderness and never enter the promised land. A plague struck the 10 spies who brought the bad report, and then came the disastrous attempt to take the land. The mood in the camp must have been bleak, to say the least. And it was on this foundation of discontent and shattered hope that Korah staged his rebellion. The story unfolds in Numbers 16. Korah and 250 allies assembled together against Moses and Aaron, challenging God's appointed leaders. The whole congregation is holy, they said, not just Moses and Aaron. What happened next demonstrates God's response to defiance. He intervenes decisively, revealing whose leadership he had established. The earth splits open beneath Korah and his cohorts, swallowing them and their families. And the rebellion collapses in a terrifying display of God's authority. Dramatic? Goodness, yes. But does Korah's actions really warrant all this drama? I mean, at first glance, Korah's complaint seems benign, benevolent even. Surely the whole congregation is holy, not just Moses and Aaron. After all, God called the Israelites a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Korah and company appeared to be standing up for the people's rights. Surely we should applaud their quest for fairness, equality, and equal rights for all. Well, Chief Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks famously taught, if you seek to understand an accusation, look at the accuser, not the accused. So, let's take a closer look at Korah, his identity, motives, and the heart behind his rebellion. Our antagonist was a Levite, one of the great-grandsons of Levi, a cousin to Moses and Aaron. He was wealthy, influential, clever, well-spoken, and apparently quite popular with the people. More importantly, his position as a Levite gave him a front-row seat in the tabernacle, an intimate glimpse into the worship of God that few Israelites ever got. In short, Korah wasn't a nobody yearning for recognition. He was already a somebody, prominent and respected. But Korah didn't want to be somebody. Korah wanted to be the somebody. He wasn't satisfied with his assigned portion. He was jealous of Aaron's selection as high priest. He was offended that his cousin had been chosen as head of their Levite family instead of him. It was envy and a sense of entitlement, unchecked in his heart, that ultimately birthed a full-blown rebellion and caused the death of hundreds. That brings us back to the accusation made by Korah. Their charge was cloaked in morality, containing a hint of truth, but ultimately drowned in deception. Yes, the entire congregation was holy, and the Lord was among them, just as he had promised. Yet Korah's heart was far from pure. The rebels claimed that Moses and Aaron, yes, the same Moses described in Numbers 12 as very humble, more so than any man on the face of the earth, that Moses had become too lofty, too exalted above the people. Ironically, it was Korah and his cohorts who were guilty of that very sin. They weren't seeking power for the people. They craved it for themselves. To them, leadership meant status, dominance, prestige, and superiority. And they coveted that elevated station above all else. But biblical leadership isn't that. In fact, it's the exact opposite. True leadership is about service, not self-promotion. Jesus himself makes this very clear when he said, "Whoever desires to become great among you, let him be your servant. And whoever desires to be first among you, let him be your slave." faithful service doesn't chase recognition or influence. It faithfully fulfills the role God has assigned. Leaders do not stand above the people, they stand among them and serving God. The greatest leader is therefore the most humble. And Moses, the man Scripture describes as the humblest on the face of the earth, he perfectly exemplifies this kind of servant leadership. The lesson of Korah still echoes across the hills of Kadesh Barnea as a stern warning. Discontent in our calling is the seed of rebellion. Korah's downfall didn't start with defiance. It began with quiet discontent over days, weeks, and months, with a heart convinced that he deserved more than God was giving him. Even today, Korah's spirit whispers in boardrooms, pulpits, ministries, and families, wherever we feel overlooked, underappreciated, or entitled. So, let us remain steadfast, choosing obedience over ambition, surrendering our strife to the Lord. Let us be faithful in the portion that God has assigned to us, large or small, visible or quiet. Let us bloom where He planted us, reflecting the heart of Him who did not come to be served, but to serve.
If this teaching blessed you, help us pass the blessing on. Ignite the Truth is brought to life through the generous support of Christians around the world. Partner with us, share it widely, and get ready. Another teaching from Israel is coming your way next week.